My name's John Stubbs and I got hold of Austin Motor Company in 2015. Austin was founded in 1905 by Herbert Austin. He'd been over to Australia, I believe, working for Wolsey, making sheep shearing apparatus, and then he came back to the UK to pursue his passion of making a car. Austin was kind of like the Henry Ford of the UK. There was loads of other motor companies started in the 20s by buying Austins in kit form, BMW, Nissan. There was a few French ones, I believe. Austin America had the Bantam, which was an Austin 7 in kit form. The general ethos of the Austin 7 that came first as a mass production car was to provide, they weren't trying to make another Rolls-Royce. It was all about making these affordable cars. They made lots of other cars as well, you know, right the way through to limousines, and the Austin Ambassador, well known right up to 2016 in India. And if you had an Austin Ambassador, you also had a chauffeur. So, you know, they had a big spectrum, military vehicles, commercial vehicles, and of course the Mini, which Austin did first as the Austin 7. It got funneled into British Leyland, so it joined with Morris, that was fine, Morris Minor, and they had the Cambridge and the Oxford. Then I believe BMC, who was mainly, I believe, the engine manufacturer, came part of the group. And then slowly but surely over the years after merger, this is after Herbert Austin had been and gone, it got pushed into British Leyland and eventually Rover. So it saw a demise really from sort of 80s on as a standalone mark, and then petered out into the ether. It was one of those brands that holds so much emotion within automotive because of Austin, and again the Mini is a prime example, one of the most globally known vehicles that was produced by Austin. Trying to follow footsteps that are that big and that deep puts you under a lot of pressure, not pressure as such, but there's a lot to live up to. And it took me a good 5 years to, you know, what am I going to do with this and do the justice that it deserves. After a long, well, about 5 years of thinking about how we maintain that same ethos and what Austin stood for, and you look at the 750 Motor Club, which came into existence because people would get a little Austin 7 because it was a 750cc four-cylinder petrol. They would take the body off and they would build their own race car. So that was the concept behind our what we should do, but bring it right into the future with that all-electric drivetrain. It was a steep learning curve, so we probably threw a good 13 cars in the bin before we came up with our first prototype. And then over the course of those sort of following 3-4 years, it was all about fine-tuning it, but staying true to that sort of feel and sensation of that 1930s racing heritage, that era where people did it for the joy of it. The electric cars tend to have very little soul, and we wanted to inject some of that sort of motorsport spirit into something that's quite new. It's not particularly very fast, but it's open. You've got the wind in your hair and the bugs in your teeth, and it's just got that good sensation about it, and people smile when they drive it, and we've kind of ticked a box there. We started with a single-seater, because it's very true to that sort of the idea. We had so many people saying, oh, it's a shame it's a single-seater, I'd buy one if it was a two-seater. And it was always the case that we were bringing a two-seater next. It was so heavily weighted in the favour of a two-seater that we then changed tack and went to the two-seater earlier than we'd intended to. Our very first show we did was the 100-year centenary of the Austin 7. And there were, well, it was all die-hard Austin enthusiasts, all of them. And it was fairly 50-50. There was a lot that were dismayed at what we'd done, you know, how dare you, kind of thing. But there were lots that were absolutely right behind it and said, you know, it is that breathing life into that brand. We've had 2 orders from guys in their 70s. We've got orders from guys in their 30s. It crosses generations because of the fun element about it, and it does look cool. You know, it's a cool, fun, very different little car. I hope Herbert Austin is looking down with a wry smile on his face. Would he be proud of what we've done? I hope so, because I spent 5 years thinking and worrying whether or not he'd be proud of what we've done. I hope he'd embrace modern technology, because he certainly did back in 1922. And they had a list of patents, you know, in the Austin bottom drawer. So, yeah, I hope that he's looking down pleased. And maybe one day when I meet him up there, he can let me know.